So they're still going to be scrabbling for tyre temperature and brake temperature all the way through the day. Expect crazy races and expect drivers to really push the limits of what's possible out there. One kart hasn't got moving yet. That is Hugo Brun. So Evan Gilter and Sam Balota on the front row from Yannis Steven Aydens and Luca Griggs, Henke Kalteren and Andy Rattel, Jason Young and Lazar Latigo from Eloy Gonzalez and Carly Atkins, Enzo Levesque and Nathaniel Den Hont from Eduardo Dominguez and Kamal Agar, Benjamin Hovelak and Oscar Joyce. Then it is Achille Gobert and Alexandre Monod, Kimi Duron and Hugo Nataril, Sebastian Murray and Drake Janssen, Senna Rodijk and Ben Doughty from Daniel Breeze and Matthijs Barb, Adrian Klosmanil and hopefully Hugo Brun, Harvey Ryby. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. Has he had a problem? Certainly for Hugo Brun, it's not going well at all for him as he finds himself down at the back of the field in the pit lane, waiting to get restarted. So hopefully he'll go racing later on in the day, but we're about to go racing on the dummy grid. Are we racing on the tram lines? Yes, we are! Evan Gilter pulls out in front of Yannis Steven Aydens as they go through turn one. Everybody gets through without incident. And into turn two, Evan Gilter holds it from Steven Aydens, and in third, that is Luca Griggs, who has made a cracking start. Trying to go right round the outside of Yannis Steven Aydens. He's going to have pressure from Sam Balota. Balota squeezes through and into third place. Excellent work from the Belgian. So Sam Balota finds himself in third place, trying to tuck in on the inside of Yannis Steven Aydens, doing his best to make good progress. But on they come to the big stop at the hairpin. If you run wide there, you're going to have an axle full of stones. It is a really tough part of the course. They go through to the right-hander. And it's all looking good for Evan Gilter in front of Steven Aydens, Balota and Luca Griggs. Perhaps the track is now dry enough that it's not going to be quite so pandemonic. So through they come into the final couple of corners. Onto the main straight. Use the slipstream to good effect. Charge through turn one. Flat on the throttle as they will. And Evan Gilter going well in front of Steven Aydens, Balota, Griggs, Kalteren, Rattel, Gonzalez, Levesque, Lartigo, Atkins, Den Hont and Hovelak. Through turn two, dab of brake pedal, catch the throttle on the inside apex. It opens out on the exit through the flick, now hard on the brakes into the hairpin and up the inside. A lovely move there from the third place driver, I should say. That is Luca Griggs, who's made his way through. Now, for some reason, Federic and Wouters are transponding us at the front of the field. That's not quite accurate, I'm afraid. It's Gilter from Steven Aydens, Griggs and Balota at the moment. Kalteren's having a look. Henke Kalteren, the Dutchman, always towards the sharp end in IAME Euro. Is the Dutchman going to get his opportunity to move forward? He'll keep pushing. He'll keep putting on a good display. He needs to just tuck away on the back bumper of Sam Balota, see if there's an opportunity to come by. And there's a mechanical problem. That's Jason Young, so it must be that Jason Young has a transponder issue. If the transponder isn't working, because his times are not coming up, then that is a technical flag. What a problem for Jason Leung, the KR Sport driver, the Canadian, who had to spend the entirety of COVID-19 stuck in Canada, has finally been able to come racing again at the tail end of last year. It's a big disappointment for Jason Young to get a technical flag. He's got no transponder on the kart, or at least the transponder isn't working, I should probably specify. Up the inside. A big move for Andy Rattel as he dives in to try and take fifth position, and he's got it from Sam Balota. So Rattel gets past Balota. Maybe that's exactly what Balota was talking about pre-race. He was saying it's a bit of a tricky day so far. We're not entirely sure how things are feeling, but there is Andy Rattel on the KBK. He's got through and doing a great job in P5 at the moment, trying to tuck up behind Henke Kalteren. Evan Gilter definitely not as dominant yesterday as, he was a long way ahead, so I do wonder if the gaggle of drivers in the dry is much closer than it would be in the wet. Yesterday, VDK were flying in the wet conditions, but here in the dry, it's much more evenly spread. Ultra competitive. Yannis Steven Aydens right in behind Evan Gilter, and the Belgian, for his Belgian team, is hoping to make the move. So what can the Euro karting team driver do? Evan Gilter gets the fastest lap at 104.3. But Henke Kalteren is the fastest driver of all in the third sector, and the fastest of all in the first sector. So Kalteren is on the warpath, tucking up behind Luca Griggs as he tries his best to make progress and move forward. Could be a fascinating day at the office for both drivers. Achille Gobert has not come through, and Achille Gobert is out of the race. He's off at turn 4, so Achille Gobert, I'm afraid, is out. Didn't see what happened to him, but you'll see him there to the side of the road. There's green flags flying. So I'm afraid Achille Gobert is out of action. That's a real shame. He was doing a good job moving his way through the field up to that point. But certainly Andy Rattel has made his move on Henki Kalteren. So that puts the Frenchman up into 4th place. They go down the straight and across the line, and Luca Griggs is vulnerable. Andy Rattel making his moves. Here's the battle for 7th further back. This is Gonzalez and Levesque. So Eloy Gonzalez for the Monlaut Competition squad, battling away with the Karting Lausanne driver of Enzo Levesque. Here they come, battling away. Is Levesque going to get his move? Yes, he does, on the inside of Gonzalez. Good move from Enzo Levesque. So that puts him into P7. That puts him into P8, I should say, because Sam Balota is still the kart in front of them. And behind them is the Frenchman Lazare Lactigo, who is in the Victory Lane karting team. So still some good battles. Hugo Brun and Achille Gobert are the only retirements. Hugo Brun, rather sadly, unable to take the start. And Achille Gobert now at the side of the road at turn 4. Green flag still flying because his kart is obviously being moved from its position at turn 4. So through comes Evan Gilter in the lead of the race. Yannis Steven Haydens is still only 0.3 of a second behind him, but he's making Evan Gilter do all the hard work. He's just trying to keep with him at the moment. Gilter leads the way. He's the one punching a hole in the air. Steven Haydens is just tagging along for the ride, basically. So this is going to be a very exciting run all the way through. Evan Gilter from Steven Haydens, Griggs, Rattel and Henki Kalteren. Battling away for position, off the hairpin. Rattel looks over his shoulder, wants to see if there's an opportunity to go for Luca Griggs on this corner. He's certainly lining him up, but he knows that Kalteren is right underneath him as well. If he can make a decent enough gap, he might be able to get both karts through in the same breath. The rooster tails are almost gone from the entirety of the circuit. There are still a few damp patches, and I think Rattel just found one on the exit of the curb there. That's going to take a few more corners to get the moisture off, and that's the moment Kalteren chooses to slice in back on the inside of Andy Rattel. You've got to pick these moments where your opponent is vulnerable, and that's what Kalteren's done. Excellent timing, made it work. So back on the straight. Gilter just pulling a 10th extra in front of Yannis Steven Haydens. That's enough to keep him safe for now. Rattel on the recovery, is getting back on terms with Kalteren. Through turn 2, they will go. 3 to go. 9 laps of the heats, and that gives them 15.2 kilometers of race distance to cover in a very short space of time. Drake Jansen has a warning flag. That's going to come with a 5-second penalty that goes with it, I'm afraid. The Dutchman not really colouring himself in glory in that moment. That doesn't help his cause. So Evan Gilter running ahead of Yannis Steven Haydens and Luca Griggs, and the gap is actually increasing between Gilter and Steven Haydens. So looks as though the Frenchman has looked after his tyres very well, and Steven Haydens is just struggling to stay with him. He's keeping him abreast, but here comes Rattel, back on the inside of Kalteren. Neither driver is yielding, and Kalteren keeps his position. It's very hard to overtake Henki Kalteren at the best of times, and he's definitely not going to give away any overtaking moves. He doesn't have to today. Taps his helmet. Come on, Andy, think, work with me. We can both get Luca Griggs. But will Rattel cooperate? He probably feels, well, I'm actually faster if I get ahead of you. All psychology and mind games in the world of karting. You tap your helmet, you try and work with your opponent. Evan Gilter, a 104 flat. There you go, that's how much speed and time we've gained as the track has dried out this morning. We started the day in the 114s and 15s. Now we're in the 104s, so the track is a good 10 seconds quicker than the start of the day. Evan Gilter has pulled almost a second clear now of Yannis Steven Haydens, so it looks good for the VDK driver to hold his position in fine style. Excellent work thus far. Evan Gilter from Yannis Steven Haydens, Griggs, Kalteren and Rattel. They're actually very close together, those three. There's Yannis Steven Haydens running in P2. What can he do about the man in front? Evan Gilter still going full guns blazing, but Yannis Steven Haydens is on his own in P2. He can't quite keep up with the Frenchman out front. He's doing everything he can. This is a much stronger start to the season for Yannis Steven Haydens than we've seen in the last couple of years. And he looks so confident and authoritarian at the wheel now. He's had his moments where it hasn't quite come according to plan, but now he really has settled into a rhythm. Looks as though we've lost Benjamin Hovelak down at the back of the field. Not sure what's happening there. Here we go, last lap, and it really is starting to get heated between Luca Griggs and Henki Kalteren. Kalteren trying to squeeze a gap on the inside. Rattel is hanging in 5th place, just waiting to pick up the pieces if they tangle. We saw it on the last lap in the previous race between Hadid and McLaughlin. Are we going to see it between Griggs and Kalteren? Well, not if Kalteren can't get close enough. Griggs is doing his best. Luca Griggs, the Englishman, with Henki Kalteren, the Dutchman, and they are working together, but it looks like it's going to be a victory for Evan Gilter. He's done the work when he needed to, only pushed when it was necessary. Excellent work from him so far, and he's going to come through in extraordinary fashion to take the victory for the 2nd time this weekend. Stephen Aidens, Griggs, and is it Rattel? No, Kalteren just keeps his position over the line. Sam Balota in P6, having an extraordinary battle so far. Excellent work. It really has been amazing up to this point. But Evan Gilter has held the position. Yannis Stephen Aidens in 2nd from Luca Griggs in 3rd. But the Frenchman Evan Gilter has settled into a very neat rhythm now. Excellent display. And he keeps it going strong. We're in for a sensational race day from Evan Gilter. He hasn't really put a wheel wrong all weekend yet. Pole position in time qualifying. Heat 1 winner yesterday. Heat 2 winner today. Catch him if you can. That's the challenge. That's the message. And Evan Gilter certainly going full guns blazing thus far this weekend at Zuera. As the track temperature increases, so does his win tally. So for Evan Gilter, it's been a perfect start to the weekend. Yannis Stephen Aidens in 2nd, Luca Griggs in 3rd from Henki Kalteren and Adi Rattel. Sam Balota gets back into P6 ahead of Onso Levesque and Eloy Gonzalez. Lazar Lartigo is ahead of Jason Leung. Will that stand? Kalai Atkins in 11th from Alexandre Monod. Eduardo Dominguez in front of Harvey Ryby. And then Oscar Joyce and Daniel Breathe. Kamal Agai 17th in front of Adrian Klosmanil for the DSM team. 19th place is Hugo Nataril in front of Drake Janssen, and then it's Nathaniel Den Hont ahead of Mattis Barb. Ben Doughty is ahead of Kimi Duron, Mika Vos, Sebastian Murray, Giovanni Trentin and Petra Babechkova. Senna Rodijk is ahead of Lucas Federic and Mirko Bouters, with Benjamin Hovelak and Francisco Costa finishing up the field. Akil Gobert was out of the race. Hugo Brunn was unable to start it.